Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Zero Hour. This was the lead paragraph in an article published this week in the Wall Street Journal. It read, "Audience outbursts during Supreme Court proceedings are rare, but one group protesting a landmark campaign finance ruling on Wednesday pulled off its second disruption in less than a year." That group was 99 Rise, and joining us now is the co-founder of 99 Rise, Kai Newkirk, who is there for both said disruptions. Kai, thanks so much for joining us.
Good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you bet. Now, you went in for the second time to the Supreme Court, and you and I guess a couple other folks pulled off this disturbance. I read that it began shortly after 10 a.m. First of all, why did you do it?
Well, first, I got to correct you. I wasn't actually there this time. I was banned from the court for a year as part of my sentence for the disruption that we did last February. So this time I was organizing and bringing a group of people together that were following my example. 7 folks, the Supreme Court 7, we say, that went in and did the disruption this time.
Okay, so thanks for the correction.
That's right.
Why did you and they organize this action?
5 years of super corruption in our country is too much. The Citizens United decision in 2010 was one of the worst in the history of the Supreme Court. And it took the problem of the corruption of our democracy from the dominance of big money interests to a whole new level, unleashed the phenomenon of super PACs, of dark money groups, and has really created a situation where our government is responsive and dependent upon the 1% and not our country as a whole. We don't accept that, and we are building an organization in 99 Rise to wage nonviolent struggle to end it. And the Supreme Court is kind of ground zero for this corruption, and has played a shameful role in making it worse. And so we didn't want to let that anniversary go by without sending a clear message that the resistance to this corruption, to the Supreme Court's role in it, to Congress' acquiescence to it, participation in it, is going to grow.
Well, and when you did it last time, I know you had a personal experience of this. What was the reaction of the Supreme Court justices, or could you tell when you got up and made your statement?
Yeah, well, I couldn't. It all happened really quickly. I think they were mostly surprised. As I said in the interviews at that time, I noticed it looked like Scalia, who was the one who was, the most directly in front of me. I was in the far back of the chamber. Looked like he kind of smirked and lay back in his chair. I don't know what the reactions were this time. I have seen in the press that the Chief Justice Roberts at first, kind of laughed it off after the first person, and then when it continued, became kind of frustrated, was trying to help point out where people were who were standing up and speaking out. But what we were most concerned with is not the reaction of the justices, but of people in our country who we want to inspire, who we know agree with us but aren't doing anything. We want to inspire them to get off the sidelines and become part of a movement to change this.
Now, people, I think, as you said, people agree with you. So, according to my reading of the polls, there's strong public sentiment for getting money out of the political process. So, and yet they're somehow not inspired to act. Is that, you think, we're talking with Kai Newkirk, co-founder of 99 Rise, about money in politics. Is that because they think it is somehow a hopeless cause, or they just feel money's too great, its influence is too powerful? What do you think? Well, why aren't people just marching in the streets about this right now?
I think it's complex, but I think you are pretty close to hitting the nail on the head there. There was a poll a year or two ago now, I think last year, that said 96% of people agree that money has a corrupting influence in our politics and there's too much of it. But 91% in that same poll said they didn't feel like anything would be done about it. And I think you're right that people feel like the system is so deeply corrupt, that it's so ingrained, that people have come to accept it and don't feel like there's anything we can do to change it. But we're here to say that's not true. I don't think that this challenge of separating wealth and state and ending this corruption is any greater than the fundamental progressive struggles that have been won in the history of our country, whether that was ending slavery, winning the right to vote for women, the right to organize for workers, winning civil rights. And we have to learn the lessons of those movements, of using the power of mass nonviolent action and nonviolent civil disobedience to make the status quo untenable until change is won. And that's our message to people in 99 Rise, is we can do this if we're willing to step up and take action together.
Now, I'm just wondering, as we talk about that, since we're talking about making the seemingly unachievable achievable, was part of the symbolism of the Supreme Court, people think you can't get in there, and you guys are showing that, yes, you can get in there and represent the public's point of view?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Not only just the technical challenge of pulling it off and being able to get video. By the way, we're planning to release the video footage that we got this time, either tonight or tomorrow. But also to show the courage, right, and show the example. When I did it by myself, it was, I had to push through a lot of fear to stand up and interrupt the justices within that sort of hallowed space, which they have, I think, shamed in a lot of ways. And for this group of folks, we wanted to show the example, not just one person, not just, one kind of outlier, that it was a group of people, more diverse, more representative young folks that were willing to step up and lead by example with the courage to challenge this action and do whatever it's take to make a sacrifice to show that we deserve to be free and equal citizens in this country. We shouldn't be a second class if we don't have enough money to be players in the money primary that precedes the general election. We're not going to accept that. And if enough people are willing to step up and act and follow this example and be part of this movement with 99 Rise, I know that we can win this change.
We're talking with Kai Newkirk of 99 Rise about getting money out of politics. Kai, okay, so let's project forward a second and say, we get everybody excited, motivated, ready to get money out of politics, certainly the democratic challenge of our time. Mm-hmm. What happens next? How do we actually how does it actually happen?
Right. Well, we think the fundamental reform that we need has to have two pieces. One is constitutional reform, a constitutional amendment, perhaps more than one, and then federal legislation to fill in a lot of the blanks. There's some questions we need to settle that were raised by Citizens United and then the McCutcheon decision, and we need to make clear that corporations do not have the rights of natural persons, that money is not First Amendment free speech, protected speech, that it can be regulated, and that Congress has the power to do so as representatives of the people to regulate spending of private money in our public elections to ensure political equality. And then we need to establish a decentralized, public, citizen-funded basis of funding for our campaigns so that there isn't a separate money primary, as Lawrence Lessig says, that only the 1% are relevant players in that happens before the general election. We need to decentralize that funding so just like everybody has an equal vote, everybody can participate in that funding. And then we need to do some other things like close the revolving door between Congress and business, make some reforms to lobbying. But this is, as you said, the fundamental democratic fight of our time, I believe, whether we're going to live in a plutocracy where money rules and a tiny elite guide our country and control it, or whether everyone's going to have an equal say, whether we're going to continue to move forward and realize the promise of democracy and all the other fights, the issues, the struggles, the injustices that people are dealing with in our country, from mass incarceration to possibility of catastrophic climate change, historic economic inequality, student debt. They all are fundamentally connected to this issue, and we have to be able to win change on this front in order to open the door to progress on those other fights.
Well, those of us here certainly agree with you. Now, we're pre-recording this interview on Thursday. As of this moment, what's the status of the folks who were in the Supreme Court yesterday?
Yeah, these brave, young, deep patriots, the Supreme Court 7, right now they're still in custody. We expect them to be arraigned and released tonight, hopefully. They've been charged, I believe, with the same federal misdemeanors that I was, that essentially all have to do with speaking out in the Supreme Court, making a harangue, a loud oration, objectionable language. But it looks like they're going after them with a conspiracy charge as well. But I'm confident that they're going to be all right. They've got the support of a lot of people. And if your listeners support them as well, they should go to 99rise.org. We have a petition to stand with the Supreme Court 7. They should sign that so folks know that, so they know that people have their back for making the sacrifice on all of our behalf.
Well, just real quickly, in the 30 seconds we have left, what are their names?
Alexandra, Kurt, Mary, Irandira, Margaret, Catherine, and Andrew.
Well, we thank them for standing up, literally and metaphorically. We thank you for the same thing. Kai Newkirk, co-founder of 99 Rise, fighter to get money out of politics. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, brother. Good to be with you.
You bet, and you too. We are going to continue to follow the fight to get money out of politics, the preeminent democratic challenge of our time, right here. Keep listening. I am Richard, RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour.